Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 5. Module 5 is the next short story assignment, and we'll focus on characters. So each short story that we write, we started with point of view, now we're moving on to characters. We're going to look at a different aspect of writing, and that will be kind of the central pivot point of the story itself. So the central criteria for what you're going to need to include in that story will be that aspect. So you can see that for the Module 5 readings and resources, we have some stuff to review, and then we have some new stuff to read. So there's a whole section on building a setting and writing dialogue to help you kind of further your understanding of writing stories in the Introduction to Creative Writing textbook. And then some examples as well. So you want to go through here and make sure there is a section on creating characters that you've already read. So you can look at that as well. And then you want to look at some going further, making sure that you have a good setting for your story, that kind of thing. Something that is recognizable, we have enough details of, but then how to create that for the reader. The other thing that we're going to focus on is dialogue, because dialogue is essential for a story. So that would be what people are saying in the story, but you want to make sure that you're formatting it correctly. Otherwise, it's difficult to read. And then there is a section from your other textbook, Experiences Not Explanations, about creating characters to begin with. So you have not, I don't think you've read this one before, but it will give you some more ideas for how to really flesh out a character. That's a terrible phrase. Really create a character that feels real, because that's what we're going for. You think of like either your favorite movie or your favorite book, usually book series, something like that. Generally, the reason why we like them so much is because we relate with the characters so well. So that is one of the things to just keep in mind, is that fully formed character can be difficult to create, but once you've got it, it really is going to help resonate with the reader. So we are going to take a quiz. We do have a few quizzes scattered here and there. This is covering the Module 4 and 5 readings, so I'm not overwhelming you with quizzes. I tend to combine modules together. So this is just a fiction readings quiz, and you can take it as many times as you want to. And then this is the short story. So the story itself is you're going to create your own original plot line. However you want to create the story is fine. And so this gives a lot more freedom than the previous story where you were kind of stuck with an existing story. This is one where it's open and you can create your story, which does have its drawbacks, because there are some things that, sometimes it's hard to come up with something. So use your journal, lots of journal prompts out there that you can look for, just anything that will help just get your creative mind going is fine. But the limitation here is you need to have at least one of each type of character. So you do need to have a round character as your main character. And the round characters are important because they're dynamic, which means that they're going to change throughout the story. So we start with somebody who maybe thinks or feels one way, and then throughout the story, they maybe have something happens to them. There's some kind of inciting incident, and then they give, by the end of the story, they have changed an opinion about something, or they've changed who they are as a person, or something like that. We need everything to feel realistic, even if it's not set in a realistic place. So I don't care if you're using, fantasy or science fiction as a genre, that's completely fine. But make sure that we are getting enough plot points. Occasionally I'll have a student turn in a story where it feels like it's part of a larger world that they're creating, which is fine, except that if we don't have any context for it, we haven't read any of like your previous chapters or whatever, then it doesn't make any sense. So make sure that if you are planning on creating a story that lives within this world that you are already working on, that we have the context there. Don't just like drop us into a world with no explanation. I do want some details of physical appearance, especially the main character or personality. Try not to list these because it gets awkward, but give us a few details that helps. Make sure it's consistently written in one point of view, but it's your choice whether you want it to be first person or third person type of writing. It's up to you, but you want to make sure that you are consistent throughout. And then making sure that we get details from all the setting, the environment, dialogue, all of that stuff that we need, beginning, middle, and ending. You're only writing at least 500 words, which is 2 pages ish, but you want to make sure there's a fully developed story. So a lot of times students will have something that's much longer. Try not to go over 5 pages with your short stories, because then they tend to be more than just a single conflict point, and they tend to be a little bit too unfocused. So if you're just dealing with the one central conflict, then it should be about between 3 and 5 pages or something is what you're going to end up with. So if you have questions about this, let me know as you write. You're more than welcome to send me an email. I do have some information about character sketching, which personally I find very helpful, especially for main characters, is to, think about what their favorite food be or something like that. So they feel a little bit more 3-dimensional, even if those are details that I don't include at all in the story. I at least have thought about some things that make them a person. And then here is the spot where you'll actually just turn in that assignment. The one thing it's very similar to the other, I think it actually is the same rubric, where you're looking at the writing itself and making sure that you're doing better than what a computer can do, basically. And so all of those different categories are important. So if you have questions as you write, make sure that you send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.